All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a very special, actually first of its kind podcast that we have created here, Kyle and myself. Yeah, Kyle is actually over in the UK, and
Right.
I'm in the US. So I mean, yeah, it's pretty interesting how we've met, how we've kind of put our heads together and created a huge need that we thought was kind of not really out there. There wasn't really a voice for many people to have this platform, and so Kyle has been gracious enough to join us today to kind of talk a little bit about Be Defiant, the amazing brand, and a little bit of what got him to that point of creating Be Defiant. So, Kyle, would you be so kind as to introduce yourself, my friend?
Yeah, sure. I'm Kyle. I am one of the founders of Be Defiant. I started with my dad back in 2018. Bit of a bit of a pipe dream, You sort of you think about these projects and you think, okay, what can I do to help people? What can I do to create a conversation, around mental health? And we came up with this idea of a clothing label.
Yeah.
Something that you're going to see every day, a t-shirt, a hoodie, something that just catches your eye. And it was about sort of defying the norm, the norm being the stigma around mental health, people not talking about how they really feel, locking those emotions away, sort of. And maybe not so much for you, Lou, with you being in the States, but the typical British stiffer upper lip mentality of, what happens behind closed doors stays behind closed doors. Men are men. Um, Men can still be men and talk about how they feel. Men can still be sad. But not just focusing on men. Like, with all of us should be having these conversations.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an idea in the living room of my dad's house, and it was like, okay, what are we going to do? How do we start this? Where do we start? And you just start to Google stuff. You start to talk to people, you make connections, and then the next thing, you're sat talking to a very good friend on the other side of the world about something that you both feel completely passionate about. And guess what? There are millions of other people out there who feel exactly the same.
Absolutely. It's crazy.
So
It's crazy how, and it's funny you said that earlier about the men are men and they don't really share their feelings, and I'm Hispanic, so that's how we grew up too.
yeah,
It was very, yeah, that's not part of what men do. You bottle all that up and you leave it all inside, and that creates problems. It creates issues, because we become implosive with that type of mentality, and that's not healthy at all. So yeah, this is very, very, very helpful for
absolutely.
all of
So
us, including myself and you, as we've talked. Yeah.
yeah, so in like Hispanic families, is it alpha male mentality, like pack leader,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
take the hit, nothing's ever a problem,
That's right.
you can talk about it.
Yeah. You can deal with anything, and if you can't, what's wrong with you type thing.
Yeah, sure. So just proves, doesn't it? Other side of the world, thousands and thousands of miles away, exact same people, exact same problems, exact same lives.
Yep,
It's
exactly.
crazy.
It is great. It's great, and a little background how we met was, again, like we talked about, the how people with the same mentality and the same concept of things, the same positive mindset, how they just connect with each other. So it was just so great to see that how we connected, how we ended up just through our friend Chloe, which we met, and then she ended up telling me about this thing she was a part of, which was the whole, the Be Defiant thing, the mental health, all these things, and how, when she introduced me to you, it's like, oh my goodness, like this is like my brother from another mother, like finally, yeah, I meet this guy. So it's great how, again, like you said, only knowing each other for a few months, we've connected so well, and this shows how much it is needed to do something like this and have a voice and a platform for people to be able to share and get the help they need and all that as far as mental awareness goes. So what is the purpose then of Be Defiant as it is now?
So it's a good question. The purpose of Be Defiant now is the purpose of what Be Defiant has always been. It's to create one more conversation, one more opportunity for someone to ask about the brand, about the t-shirt you're wearing, the hoodie you're wearing, you know, what does it mean, or where did you get that from, or, you know, why does it say that on your top? It's a case of just creating that opportunity for someone to turn around and go, oh, these guys support mental health. You know, they stand against the stigma that surrounds mental health. And so do I.
Yeah.
And if every day we can cause one conversation, that's 365 conversations a year from one person.
Yeah.
You know, you put that person in a gym and they tell 3 of their friends about it. Those 3 people don't need to buy any products. But I can bet you that the next time a conversation comes along and someone isn't quite feeling okay, or you know, someone mentions mental health, they'll maybe say, oh, I spoke to a guy in the gym about that, or, you know, while we were out walking the dogs, we bumped into someone, or whilst we were just out. And the next thing is, oh, I know this guy who talks about mental health, and it was okay for him or her to, or they to, you know, stand there and sort of say, it's cool to talk about this. It's absolutely fine.
Right.
And it gives that next person that little bit of confidence to say, actually, I'm okay to talk about this now. You know, if you want to talk about this, you can talk about this with me.
Right.
So yeah, the goal has always only ever been to create the opportunity for one more conversation, because you don't know where that's going to lead.
Right.
Absolutely. You know, but we've had conversations, myself with some of the athletes of Be Defiant, with some of the advocates of Be Defiant, you know, and sometimes people post something online and it's not an intentional cry for help. You know, it's circumstantial. They are in a place and you notice something's off. You know, maybe this person's usually a very tidy person, and they post a picture of their bedroom floor and it's clothes on the floor. You know, or like their dinner plate's still on the side, you know, or they've been like super quiet and it's not like them to be quiet, you know, and what they do post is very almost out of character.
Yeah.
And it just takes that, you know, hey, how you doing? And that it can change a life. It can save a life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's what it is. It's just that conversation. So that's the goal. It will be the future goal. It will be the thing that we drive. You know, we have got to talk about this, and we've got to reach out to one another.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about it. Yeah, that the whole point, the dream, the mission, if you will, of Be Defiant has never changed from the beginning of it, from its inception. And that's what I think keeps it so pure, that there'll never be, oh, wait a minute, weren't you guys the ones doing this at one point? You know, what happened, or anything like that. You know, like the mission never changes, just to continue to have the conversations of mental health, to be okay with talking about it. And like you said earlier, not glorifying it, but just more of knowing that, hey, no, it's okay to talk about this. Let's get you the help you need, and let's make sure you get better. And I had the conversation with Chloe in our last interview about that it's okay to ask for the help, that it's okay to be in those emotions, but what's not okay is to stay in those emotions. You know, it's okay to experience them, and then, but it's also important to understand how to work through them to get out of that state of mind. And again, another beautiful part of this platform is that there will be those pointers, there will be those topics, there will be those conversations, there'll be those that come into it and get interviewed and talk about their struggles with their mental health and all that. So I think it's going to be a great, massive movement to help a lot of people be able to have a voice and understand that they're not alone.
That's a big reason for this podcast, isn't it? The reason for this podcast is that we want people to be able to come on here and talk. We want people to be able to ask us questions. You know, if some people don't feel like they're ready to have those difficult conversations with people, let us have them for you. Let us break that ice a little bit. Let us take that first step, because it's quite okay. You know, it's once you start to talk about mental health, it becomes so much easier. Bit of a snowball effect. I'm at the point now where I don't shut up about it because of how important I genuinely feel it is. But all jokes aside, it's something that, if I ask anyone if they're okay, I generally ask them twice, because again, usual mentality is that if I say, "Hey, how you doing?" Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, I'm good. Yeah.
It's token response. Do you mean that? That you're good every day? Yeah.
Yeah, like you're literally good every day. That's amazing.
Yeah, I want your life.
I want to know what you're taking, because I need that.
Definitely. So yeah, and like you just alluded to there, Lou, the conversation you have with Chloe and learning about, and so that's the point there, isn't it? Learning by listening to someone else how to deal with those emotions.
Yeah.
It's not a case of you've got to put them to one side. You've not got to just sit in them. You've got to learn to sort of accept them, and then remember, it's time I move on from this now.
Absolutely.
I've accepted it. I've experienced it. I've now learned what I need to learn from this, and then pulling in, Chloe's parting shot, in that there is good in everything.
Yeah.
You may have to look a little bit harder for it.
Right.
And it may not be there instantly. You might have to work for it for a while. It may take a while to show itself, but it's there.
It is.
It's like when people go gold hunting in riverbeds and stuff. You don't see it until you've sifted it through time and time and time again. And then right at the end, there's this tiny little golden nugget. But you're dirty, you're ditched, you're wet through. Yeah. Was it worth it? Of course it was.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because if you've got to work hard for something, you can bet your ass it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing good ever comes easy. That's never been any truer than now. This is tough conversations that are most likely going to be had, shared, heard, experienced, but it's necessary to be able to get out of, like you said, get out of that space that they're in, and just continue to move forward.
Definitely. And it's hopefully we can bring people in that have had different life experiences to us that other people can relate to, and people sort of say, "Oh, I thought that was just me. I thought that was normal." Well, what is normal?
Exactly.
This year of all years, what is normal? Let's just put that in the bin right there. Let's just get rid of it, because it doesn't exist. But
right.
Point, a lot of people live with mental health issues, mental illnesses, without even knowing about it.
Right. And they just don't know. They think it's just their normal day in, day out, and this is normal to them. Absolutely right. Yeah. But it really is not.
No, not at all. Not at all. So
this is fantastic. Yeah. This is good. And so if someone is wanting to reach out for you guys to be defiant and everything like that, what is the handles? What is the email information that they can reach out to you guys?
Okay, so we're on Instagram at Be Defiant Clothing Co. And if they want to contact us, via email, they can by all means drop us an email to contact@bedefiantclothing.co.uk. Anything, if it's questions, if they want to know more about the brand, if they want product information, it doesn't really matter. If they want to share a story, if they just want to contact us, have a chat, it's there. It's take it. And a lot of people won't take it because, I don't need help. I'm not that bad. There are other people out there that need it more than me, right. Or some people just aren't ready. But right. Whenever anyone is ready, that's where it is.
Right. And And especially like now, like you said, there's so much going on right now that it's just, it really is mind blowing that there's so much going on. So being able to be a part of this and co-host this with you and just share these stories and experiences, and as we said, as the episodes start coming out, being able to dive more deeper into our own backstories and everything like that, I think that's, again, that's going to be, it's such a needed, almost like an escape, to where anyone that's listening to it will be able to understand that it's okay to talk about it. And you're absolutely right, there's so much that's going to benefit out of these conversations that I think it's just going to be such a necessity right now, more, I think, more than ever. More people are just dealing more and more with their mental health in every way, shape, or form. It's not just one thing. Like you said, it's such a massive different amount of things that's going on that it'll be very, very helpful for so many people to hear this.
Definitely. I think the global COVID lockdowns that have been caused this year have definitely opened a lot of people's eyes to what it's like to live alone, to be isolated, to not have your friends and family around you and be able to get your everyday escapes,
Yeah.
Having to work from home is tough.
It is.
It's real tough. A lot of people are like, oh, I wish I could work from home every day. But it's great when it's great. When
Right.
you're having a bad day and you're stuck in your own house and you can't, there's that line between work and home, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's usually, if you can set up in an office or a spare room, great. You can close the door, you can walk out of that situation. But if you're working in your living room, if you're working in your kitchen, how do you turn that off?
Right.
And in fact, if anyone could contact us and sort of say, this is how I do it, contact us and tell us, because I think there's a lot of people, I know a lot of people personally that say to me, you work from home all the time. How do you do it? For me, I've got a spare room. 5:30, I close that door. Mm-hmm. It's done. Because if I don't, I know from past experience, I'll be up here till 2 a.m.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I get so engrossed in what I'm doing.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest part, I think, of us sharing this, is because since what I do is, wellness coaching and health coaching, I get a lot of those questions now. What do I do? I can't disconnect. I have the kids, I have my husband or my wife, they're here all day, I'm here all day. I need to get, you almost feel as if you're kind of trapped in your own mind now, because you can't even get out of the house. So it makes it even that much more worse. So absolutely, those are a lot of the things that we'll be able to do: share tips, share ideas, suggestions, just little things to try. And of course, everyone's different. Everyone has a different scenario. But I think that's where it's so nice to have this platform again, is because then we can share a lot of different suggestions here and there. Whether it's create a routine that mimics as much of your routine before all this happened, to where you even set timers on your phone, set these blocks of time, and make sure you stick to it, because you owe it to yourself to have that mental disconnect from work. Because if not, like you said, it'll all just mush together and it's all just going to be one thing. So set timers is a big part. Set a schedule to where you're almost mimicking your work schedule, to where if you woke up at 6 a.m. every day, yeah, you're not commuting anymore, so you don't have to wake up at 6 anymore. Maybe wake up at 6:30, 6:45. But then continue the steps that you would do. Get up, make your coffee, go for your walk. Like if you're mimicking going to work, do something like that. And then our body loves routine. So you're kind of going to bring it back to that mentality. And then once your normal day shift ends, like you would normally end, set that alarm and stop, disconnect, and let it go. Because if not, you're going to just drown into that whole entire world of work. You're going to mix it with life and you're not going to know what's the difference. So yeah, there's one point.
It's interesting that you talk about the walk to work. One of the things that I've worked a lot this year from home, but before this year I was on site a lot and there's a lot of traveling. I was driving sort of 2 hours each way most days, and that I missed that drive, getting in the car, putting on a podcast, putting on music and an album that I'm listening to at that time, or having a phone conversation just in the car between work and home, that was like, it was like decompression.
Yeah.
You know, by
Yeah.
the time I got out the car the other end, it was like, oh, thank God, today's over, sort of thing.
Right. And then it's gone. You know, that
Yeah.
piece is gone. And then that's where it's important to kind of mimic those, even in that sense. You just still call that friend when you normally would call them around that time. Still listen to that podcast like you normally would. You're absolutely right, because everyone says, "Oh, I wish I could work from home," and then when it happens, I've heard so many people, "Oh my gosh, I just want to go back to work." So they will never take it for granted to have that separation of the two. They will now be able to realize, okay, it's actually is important for me to leave my home. And if you work from home 24/7, then nothing's changed for you, except the part that you can't leave your home for normal everyday, just to get out like you normally used to. Then again, that's where a little bit of tweaking happens. But yeah, for the most part, I've heard so many people say the same thing. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait till I get to go back to the office." And like, I never thought I'd say this. So it's very interesting how things have just flipped completely.
I think like the other side of that is that we are social beings, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't lock us away in a room. It's not what we're made to do. It's not how we function.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that we're all craving a little bit, or have been craving, are those different social circles. There's different conversations, different body language, different types of humor, different stories. Like if you live in the same house with the same people all of the time, you get the same stories, you have the same conversations.
Yeah, there's not much more to go off of. Yeah.
Exactly. So
I'm dying to give one of my friends a hug, man. I'm like, I can't do it. It's crazy. Something as simple as that we took for granted because it was just part of everyday life. Now we've been stripped from that. So, now it's like the elbow or something like that, but it's not the same. It really is not the same. So even that in itself is a mental strain, because now you're having to deprive yourself from a simple physical contact. As a hug is an international, form of welcoming and happiness, and we can't do that right now. So it's crazy. Yeah.
So question for you then, when all this was happening, when it was at its highest, did you have any time off work? Did you have to stay at home? Was the clinic closed?
No, been here throughout the entire thing, actually.
So
have not taken a day off since
1993.
Yeah, something like that.
So
no,
you've
not,
had
I have
to
not
struggle
taken
with like being at home, not being able to go out and socialize. Like I don't mean obviously like normal social activity, but you've seen people at work, you've had that commute,
Mm-hmm.
You've had all of that almost as it was. So you kept that routine thing.
That's right. That stayed the same. The thing that's changed is I don't have a gym anymore, obviously. Which that was my biggest disconnect, was right after work, go to the gym, let it all out there for a solid hour and a half, just kind of just decompress. So once that happened, it was rough in the beginning. And we talked about that a little bit before, how it was just, I just felt lost. And then I ended up now I go hiking now to Crowder's Mountain every Saturday and Sunday, because they're still letting us do that. So, obviously, physically distancing and all that. And I have, I brought my sled to the clinic. I brought some kettlebells and my barbells here to the clinic, and I do my workouts here now. Like throughout the day when it's not as crazy, I'll just go in there, do some kettlebell walking lunges, some sled pushes, I got my ropes here. So I just adapted, to the circumstances, because obviously I couldn't take off of work, So it was challenging, and the part that stayed normal was the commute, which was actually nice. But then everything else has changed, and now we got to just, I time when I'm going to go to the grocery store, things like that. And I do a lot more outdoor stuff than I've ever done before. It's been crazy because we were on mandatory 2 weeks, quarantine, so we couldn't leave our homes for 2 weeks, only for like groceries. So that was tough. That was tough. But yeah, that's been the biggest thing for me has been that going to Crowder's Mountain every weekend, taking a nice little disconnect, decompress. I'll just sit up there for a bit and just kind of like meditate, relax, and then come back down. But as far as the gym style workouts, I don't really miss them anymore as I thought I would. I actually feel a lot better than I used to feel anyways. I think it's because of all the outdoor exercise I've been doing. So yeah, another tip there is walk outside a little more. If you have a nice little hiking trail, try to hit that as much as you can. It's been a mind-boggling and eye-opening experience, to be honest.
I bet. So yeah, I totally feel you with the gym though. Like that's where I go to turn off almost. So I start my day in the gym. I get to the gym at like 6 a.m. and I'll probably be there till sort of 8:30. I have the mobility of a surfboard, as Chloe will tell you. He's cursed with being my coach. So yeah, it's like every day I spend the first half an hour trying to become a little bit more flexible and mobile. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, so that's like
tough coach, man.
Oh yeah, she hurts me a lot. But she knows her stuff. She's incredible, honestly. So
yeah, she really does.
But yeah, I get there. It's for me, headphones in and get to work sort of thing. And I'm super happy to be social at the gym at the same time. Like I don't put my headphones in to ignore anyone. I shift dirt better when I've got my headphones in.
I completely agree. I do the same thing.
Very distracted.
Yeah, just zone out and not think about anything else. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm literally a 4-year-old with a beard. Like, if there's something shiny, there's a noise, I wonder what it is. So if I get my headphones in and just get on with it, that's me. It works. And I find that I can turn off a little bit usually. Like, when you've got a longer workout coming up, you can sort of suffer through it and just turn off and get your head down and get that sweat on. And I think sometimes you leave the gym at the end of your session and it's like, I didn't know I went in there with this weight on my shoulders until I came out the door and it wasn't there anymore. It was just the stresses of every day, it's
absolutely.
And before, like right at the start of Be Defiant, I ran a 10K for Mind. I ran the Derby 10K, which they do every year, which is brilliantly organised. But yeah, I trained for that and I signed up for it like in October, and the run was in March or April. I can't remember which one. I think it was March. And I was like, yeah, 10K will be fine. It's just 5K twice, right? I went out for a run on the 3rd of January and couldn't run a kilometre. It wasn't there. Like, I got 600 meters in and I was like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, I'm so unfit. So I discovered running that year and like quickly fell in love with it. I found that building myself, and I guess a lot of the guys that are doing, you've seen like the Couch to 5K challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a lot of the guys who are getting towards that 3K mark, like for me, that was the breaking point, the tipping point. Up to 3K was just hard work and I hated it. But once I got over 3K, I could like turn off a bit. By that point, I was like over 15 minutes into the run, probably 20 minutes, and it's the same movement. Once you've got your rhythm and your breathing, you just listen to your music. And I was running, again, I work out early in the morning. I was running at 5 a.m. and it was like -3 or 4 degrees C for you. But yeah, it was super cold, but it was like, it's okay. If I keep moving, I'll stay warm. And once you were warm, once you were into it, like your head could just wander. And I used to get back from like every morning run and I'd get straight on my phone and I'd voice note Pete, one of my good friends, and the guy that helped me so much Be Defiant. Yeah. And I'd be like, Pete, man, I've got this idea. We've got to have a chat about this. And I'd leave him like a 12-minute voice note. He'd wake up and he'd be like, you've got to stop sending me these like novels. I have to sit there listening to them. It's like, you should have a podcast. And here we are. But
it's just
yeah,
nuts.
Honestly. So yeah, Pete's a great guy. And like we'd always talk about this, when you were exercising, you could almost be there, but not sometimes.
Yeah.
If it was like a long monostructural piece of work, or, you're going out for a run, or if you're going out for a walk, if you've got your headphones in, like, you can just turn off and go.
Right.
And all of a sudden, like, all of the noise from the day or the previous day or whatever it is, all those like noisy thoughts, they just vanish from it. And they create that mental headspace that you were talking about. Just that breather, that 5 minutes of, I just need this peace and quiet now.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah, exercise it's a big thing, isn't it?
It's the best, man. It's the best thing that we can have, is just, that's our mental disconnect, and that's what we use. And that's what we want to do also with this, is help people understand what is their mental disconnect. How can we help them find what is their mental disconnect if they have no idea? It's just, I think it's a great way for us to be able to do such a massive public service, with all these things. And the fact that you have good friends helping you, that shows how much of a tight community it already is, and how much people believe in what we're trying to do here.
Absolutely. So it's an interesting point that you raised. Every single person involved in Be Defiant, except my dad, because obviously he's my dad, I've met along the way. None of them are like old school friends or anything like that. These are people that share a common interest with me, and we've just come together because we have this passion, and this passion is to help people.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. I mean, when we first started talking, I was like, what do you think about, us doing this? And of course the conversation has to come up where it's like, well, what is it going to cost? What's this and that? It's like, dude, please, there's no cost for this, man. This is a needed extra tool and guide that we can have for other people. And that's what it should be about. And you said it best earlier. You said that to help everyone without trying to get anything in return, that's how you will be successful as a human being in life.
Yeah. So like, in terms of like one of the values for Be Defiant, and I say it all the time, a lot of people are sick of me saying it actually, but it's a case of, don't try and make a sale. The whole point of what we're doing here is we're trying to solve a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, money, of course, a business needs money to run, and it needs money to expand and grow.
Sure.
But it's not what this is about. I've got a full-time job, it's cool. Yeah, and the money in Be Defiant goes back into Be Defiant.
Yeah.
That's what it will always be. We donate what we can, we plow what we can back into it to get that message further. That's the key.
Yeah.
Just to get more and more people talking.
Yeah.
We, like, on the topic of people talking, let's talk about our advocates. What an amazing group of people they are. So we must be verging on 60 advocates. You can apply to be an advocate. You just go to the Be Defiant website, and there's a link at the top that says become an advocate. There's a bit of a write-up there that lets you know what one is. And an advocate is just someone that positively advocates mental health. They are someone that you don't have to be preaching it from street corners, banging a drum, shouting out of a megaphone, but you're someone that is aware that we have this global health crisis.
Yeah.
That no one is addressing, really. We're trying, but we're not making enough of a dent in it.
Absolutely.
And you haven't got to be in sports. Yes, we sell sports clothing and pieces, but it doesn't matter. if you're happy to talk to people, if you're happy to listen, I think that's a big one, listening.
Yeah.
You can be an advocate, you know, and the advocates are that we've got a closed Facebook page the guys join where they can talk to like-minded people, you know, within a small community, which hopefully we will grow. It's got a family vibe to it, and it's a family vibe that we push because it's a safe place. There's no judgment in there. You know, it's a supportive community. That's what we're there to do. It's you know, it's growing that community, and they get 10% off on the website as like a bit of a, you know, a sweetener. But the point is, these guys are just so passionate, and they honestly, the reason that we're sat here today talking, and the reason it's today, is one of our advocates today took a selfie in a Be Defiant t-shirt with a piece of paper that says #WeAreBeDefiant.
Yep.
The reasoning for that image and the images that you've seen will become clear later on, but that person in particular, I know, struggles with seeing themselves in posts. I won't say it's not fair, but I know that they really struggle with seeing themselves in posts. It's a huge thing for them to post an image like that.
Yeah.
And I dropped them a message sort of like 5-10 minutes before I started this podcast, and it was like, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone today because I know that you were well out of yours. You know, you've inspired me to do that.
Yeah. And isn't that beautiful though?
Yeah.
Like
what it's all about, right?
Yeah, because like anyone who would have seen that picture doesn't know his or her backstory. They could just have been like, "Oh, cool, that's another post." But to them, that was a huge leap forward to feeling better about themselves in overall in general, and being able to share that picture. That's a massive step. So that's a beautiful testimonial to what Be Defiant helps people to achieve and overcome.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Lou. I take more from the guys than they get from me. Like, it's like my own little pool of motivation and inspiration. Like, if I get to the point in my day where it's just, I'm at a bit of a lull, you know, I'm a bit like, okay, what's next, sort of thing. You know, that Facebook group, there's always something going on. Always. You know, you flick on Instagram and someone has run a 5K, a 10K in a ridiculous time. Someone that 4 months ago didn't leave the house, wouldn't talk about their mental health. Yep. But they've joined this community and they've become part of something that supports them, that, you know, that is educated. And I think that's one of the biggest parts of it. We educate each other constantly.
Right.
You know, you tell someone that you struggle with something, there is no shame in asking why.
Right. Exactly.
That person has every right to turn around to you and say, look, I don't want to tell you why. That's absolutely fine. Respect that. It's not a problem.
Right.
But the only way we're ever going to learn to deal and to help people with mental illness and mental health issues is by educating them. It's our biggest weapon against it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, you know, not all of us are totally comfortable in talking about it.
Right.
But if you are, like, get out there, man. Shout it, you know? Absolutely. And if someone asks, they're asking because they're interested. And if they're interested, grab that person, captivate them, you know, show them that actually it can be in its own way beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's totally unique to each person. Like, we can have the same issue, we can have the same mental illness, it affects us in completely different ways.
Right.
And the way that we deal with it would be completely different.
Yep, absolutely. And again, another beautiful part of this platform is that they'll know they have 100% support from us in a massive community, not just in the UK, but now also in the USA. So it's just, I think it's a fantastic collaboration. And again, I'm really excited about this. So absolutely. So, I mean, the podcast is called Be Defiant Podcast. So whoever wants to check it out, listen to it, it'll be on my Instagram. I'll also share it, of course, with Kyle. so he can have it on their site. It'll be on both our websites. It'll be everywhere. We'll be definitely promoting it and just letting everyone know what it's about, of course, like we did today, and just kind of getting a nice kickoff to let everyone understand what we're going to do. We'll, like we said, we'll do some Zoom chats where we can do some groups where, they can start meeting some more of the people behind Be Defiant and just kind of start sharing what it is that we're trying to accomplish with this beautiful mission.
Definitely, yeah. So I know there are already a couple of people that are very, very excited to make an appearance on here.
Awesome.
To name drop one of them, Karen. But yeah, so I promise as time goes on, I'll ramble less. I probably should have promised that. It probably won't happen, to be fair. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to sort of tackling some tough subjects, having some conversations that maybe people wouldn't have without listening to us first.
Right, absolutely.
So, and we'll get some of the advocates on here because again, those guys have some incredible stories. And then I think let's drag some of the athletes in here. Let's see how these guys deal with their demons.
Absolutely.
Whatever they may be, maybe they haven't got any at all. Maybe they don't realize they've got any.
Right. They can think this is normal, and again, it could be just something that absolutely they can definitely work through. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah. So like flipping this conversation on its head, it's the Be Defiant podcast. But tell us a little bit about you, Lou. Like, what do you do? What how did you end up here?
Oh man. So I as I tell you, I'm a health coach, and that's been my I guess my calling, if you want to call it that. I started wanting to help people more to continue to basically to live to progress, and that's kind of where I got the name of my brand, Live to Progress. And one of the biggest things that made me want to do more was the fact that I was bullied as a kid growing up, and that was part of my basically my mental health issue was that I needed more help with coping with that, because again, growing up in that household, it was a lot of the things were more bottled up more than anything. And of course my parents were great, amazing parents and everything like that, but it wasn't really something to really talk about much. I was more like embarrassed about it than anything because I was very overweight, and that's what I got bullied for all through elementary. And so now that I'm able to do something about it, that's why I figure it's so important to actually move forward and do something about it. That's what I created Live to Progress for that, to be more of an overall help for people, not just with the physical health part of things, more also emotional, stress related things, and of course nutrition as well. But it's all combined. It's one body, so it's all together. So if our mind isn't right, our body's not going to be right at all. So I really feel that this Be Defiant piece was like the missing link to have it all just now. It all makes sense. There's a lot that I've been trying to do. Just as you are, you're very busy doing things and helping people in so many different ways, shapes, and forms that that's the whole point of Live to Progress. I've had a few people ask me, like, what is it I do? What is the point of it? They're like, there's not really, some things aren't really clear in a sense, and it's because I guess it's always evolving. It's always ever changing, so I don't want to be just kind of, put out as, oh, this is all he does is just physical training, because it's not. It's a overall, I guess, an overall help of as much as I can possible. But there's things that I'm not qualified to talk to people, and that's okay because we're always learning. But what I know that I can help people at, that's what I want to really make sure that I can help at. And then now we have this amazing piece that we're doing together with mental health awareness, and I think that's another massive piece that I know I'm not 100% qualified to talk about. There's a few things here and there I can help with, and a few things here and there you can help with. And then now we have thousands of more people now that are going to be coming together because of this, that'll really help us make a massive impact. So again, I know I derail too, so you're not the only one that rambles. So that's the whole point of Live to Progress, is to literally live to progress every single day. And that starts with our mind. It always has, and it always will.
And I think that's why, it's such a good partnership for us, because we are pushing the same message.
Absolutely are. Absolutely are.
0.5% better every day.
That's right. That's right. What is it? I love this saying that says, be better than yesterday, but not as good as tomorrow. So you always have room to improve. We always have room to learn and to grow. And as long as we keep our mind open that way, there will be no limits to what we can do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah. But this was great. I'm really glad we got to do this. And again, for everyone listening, this is going to be a co-hosted podcast with Kyle and myself. It's going to be a first for both of us. So bear with us as we play around with this. But I think it's going to be a fantastic and amazing step forward for us and for everyone. And again, Be Defiant is their Be Defiant Clothing Co. is their Instagram. BeDefiantClothing.co.uk is their website. It will be on the podcast description as well. And again, the podcast is Be Defiant Podcast, and that'll also be on my link tree as well through Instagram. And again, if you want to reach out to us, like Kyle said, please shoot us a message anytime. Mine is as you know, Live to Progress on Instagram. But definitely looking forward to more. And again, Kyle, thank you so much, my friend. And we'll see everybody next time.
The honor has been all mine, buddy. So just a final thing before we leave. Chloe said that you put her on a spot and you asked for a parting message. So, Lou, what would your parting message be?
Oh man, parting message I would say is don't ever think that you're alone when you're dealing with any type of situation in your life. Know that you're not, and closing yourself off and separating yourself from the world, if you want to call it that, is the worst thing you can do. Always reach out for help. I always say it on every episode, please reach out if you need help, if you need anything. That's what we're here for. And if we don't know the answer, we'll help you find someone that does know the answer. So that'll be my parting message, is know that you're never alone and that we're always here for you, and to be defiant, defy the odds.
Defy the norm. Love it. Beautiful message.
Well, thanks. All right, guys. Thanks again, Kyle, and everyone listening. Look forward for more to come.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, Lou. See you later, mate.